For your recording and editing your radio sweeper. Before doing this tutorial, you should have already written your sweeper and recorded it somewhere. If you go down, this is the rubric for the assignment. But if you go down, this is a really great video, I think, that just familiarizes you with kind of where we're going with this whole project. I really recommend that you watch this. He is not using Audio Tool for this. But like I say, he does a really good job of really quickly showing you how to build a sweeper. And then going down, this will show you how to upload your sweeper, the recorded part of it at least, into Audio Tools so you can work with your voice. So make sure and watch that if you haven't already. And then I'm going to be doing the demo that kind of wraps this up and telling you how to pop this all up. And then this demo will be posted kind of right here, right above your assignment. So let's look at the rubric real quick just to make sure we're headed in the right direction. I'm going to scooch this over a little bit. So make sure you got the correct format in your text, that you have a DJ name, you say Fast Forward Radio, and you have a slogan. And let's go ahead and get our sweeper loaded in, and then we'll kind of come back to these things as we check them off on the list. So coming over to Audio Tool, I'm going to create a new project. And right off the bat, I recommend that you save your projects because this will allow you to name them. So this I'm going to just call Ryan Sweeper Demo. And you can choose a genre. You need to have at least one tag, so I'm just going to type in radio there. And these are your kind of sharing rights. Don't worry about that. Permissions. I don't want anybody to remix this, but I do want to allow others to download because I may be downloading your sweepers later, especially if you do a good one. I'd like to be able to download it. So hit save. And now I've got my sweeper all made. These two devices just kind of automatically show up when you create a new session, and they are just, this is your like headphone output or your master output, and then this is your mixing board. And this is really complicated for what we need for this assignment, but I'm going to go ahead and just leave it. And we're only going to be using really these bottom sliders to adjust volumes for different things. Okay. So we've already recorded my sweeper and uploaded it. So to find it, if you go over here to samples, and go to My, and then everything that you've uploaded will appear in this list over here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this as my one, Sweeper 2021.
You are listening to Fast Forward Radio. Fast Forward, small school with the big heart.
Okay, so find your sample, click on it, drag it onto the screen. And it will create this little device that is your audio playback for that sample. And you can see that it automatically creates a cable that plugs it into the mixing board, so it's coming into channel 1. And there is actually a volume on this sample as well, so you can turn it up or down here. I recommend for your voice that you leave it all the way up. There's a panning knob and a mute knob. Don't mess with those for this assignment. Okay. You'll notice once you have it uploaded that not only is it on the screen, but it's also down here. They've made an audio track, and you can see the waveform of your audio. And I'm going to position this a little bit because I actually want to start my sweeper with like a beat or something like an attention grabber. And then I'm going to actually start talking. So I'm just going to move this over here for now. Another thing that I want to be able to do is maybe cut this up so I can kind of space it out a little bit more. So to do that, I'm going to come over here. These are your editing tools right here. So I've got the arrow tool, which I'm already using, and that of course lets you click on things and move them around. The pencil tool I will come back to and explain that later. And then this is the razor tool. So the razor tool is what we'll use to cut our sample, and I want to make a cut right there. Once you've cut it, you can go back to your pointer tool, and now I can move these two pieces kind of independently, which is going to be good for what I want to do here. And that just, it gives me some more space in there, so I can put like a cool sound effect in right here. When you go to cut, let's say I'm going to zoom in a little bit here and actually zoom in on this specific section too. Let's say you wanted to make a cut like right after this, or maybe let's say, where's a good spot? Let's say like right before this little thing started. Well, if I bring my razor tool over here, you'll see that it automatically snaps to the nearest line. And that may not be a good thing if you wanted to, like, you can see that's going to cut off the first little bit of that. So if you want to have more places where you can cut or have it not snap to these lines so much, come over here to the left-hand side, and you can see right here it says Smart, and right now it's set to 1/16. What that means is that each bar is split up into 16 sections where you can cut right now. And if you click on this, you can actually get it up to 128. And if you're on 128, you can really get like right in between those lines, like and get it exactly where you want to make that cut. So if it's not able to get exactly where you want, just bump that up to 128. You should be good. I generally like to keep it about on 1/8 for most of the stuff I do, just because that seems to work out for a lot of things. But for voice and vocals, it doesn't. You want to be on a pretty high resolution there. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to add like a drum beat or something like that that will catch people's attention. So I'm going to come back over to my samples, and instead of I'm going to go to all. And Audio Tool actually has a lot of really great samples built in. So I'm going to look for a beat. I'm just going to type in beat, and you can search for anything. You can search for drums, bass, guitar, keys, you know, anything. And I specifically want a beat that will loop, right? And so these are your kind of narrowing down options. You can search for all, or just looped sounds, or just one-shot sounds, right? And you can see once I narrow it down to just loops, it's a much shorter list, and this is something I can deal with. I don't have to listen to a million samples to find out something that I'm looking for. So let's go ahead and just select one of these. Great, I like it. So I'm going to click, and just like I did with my voice, just drag it onto the screen here, and you can see it creates another little device here, and it automatically plugs it into channel 2. And again, same thing, I can turn this sample up or down if I want. I know that I don't want it to be louder than my voice though, so I am going to turn it down just a little bit right off the bat here. And also, it created a little track for us down here. So this is that percussion loop we just bring in. And so if you can see, it's not quite long enough yet. Like here's my voice, and then there's my voice continuing, and this percussion is going to stop early. So how I drag that out or make it last longer is make sure you're on your arrow tool right here. Go to the edge of that loop, and you can see that little arrow pops up. Just click and drag as long as you want that sound to go. All right. And while I'm at it, I should probably point out that we're trying to make a 10 to 15 second loop here, and if you'll notice down here, it doesn't really tell you like where you're at with seconds. It just measures everything in bars and beats down here. And so we did the math in the class, and what that translates to is your sweeper should be anywhere between the 5 and the 7.5 mark for that to be 10 to 15 seconds. Okay, so from there to there. So I'm in the good zone. Make sure that your sweeper is lasting at least till bar 5. Okay, so I've got a drum beat. Let's go ahead and listen to see what this sounds like right now. Just going to push play.
This is Ryan Conger, and you are listening to Fast Forward Radio. Fast Forward, small school with the big heart.
Okay, pretty simple right now, right? So, so far I've got 2 samples that I brought in, my voice and my drum loop. If we look at the rubric, I need to have at least 3 audio loops or one-shot samples. So let's go ahead and look for let's do a one-shot sample, like find something that's cool, but it's a little bit long. Let's try Cosmic Squirrels. How about? Cool. This is cool, but it is a little bit long too. But I'm going to go ahead and drag it in because I want to bring in something that I can cut down just to show you guys. So I'm going to bring this in also. Again, same thing. We're really familiar with this now. I'm going to turn down the volume of it, and again, it's bringing in a track. It's loading right now. I am in this middle part where I stop talking, and then I wanted to just zoom out here. I'm actually going to kind of reverse and cut this out something like so let's see what that sounds like.
This is Ryan Conger.
Now I've got 3 audio loop one-shot samples. Put effects on drums and this device over, and you'll see why in just a minute.